125 National Motocross Series. Hello, everyone. I'm Jan Beekes, and joining us is our ESPN analyst and former motocross champion, David Bailey. Now, speaking of champions, David, soon we're going to have a new champion for 1995. Only 3 points separate Steve Lamson and Ryan Hughes. Now, out of those two, who do you think feels the most pressure?
Well, it's got to be on Steve Lamson. It's his to lose. He has the points lead. He's also the factory Honda rider. He's got to be feeling the heat.
Last year, we had a similar situation between these two, but it was for second in the championship. It's a huge difference when you have the whole championship on the line.
Well, the nerves are there. They're definitely there, and I know that it's going to be a fight, maybe not a fist fight. These riders are going to pull out all the stops.
David mentioned a fist fight. We did have one here last year between Ryan Hughes and eventual champion Doug Henry. But let's now go ahead and take a look at the racetrack.
As you can see from this track map, it's a pretty long racetrack. There's some Supercross style stuff out there, but mostly it's hard packed and fast.
Let's check in now with the third member of our broadcast team, Art Ekman, who's down pit side. Art?
Once again, the 125 championship comes down to the final day of the season. Lammy's phenomenal comeback is the story of the year for the 125s, but to come so close to a title, his first, and not win it would be very disappointing. Ryan Hughes, well, Rhino, he's a fighter. He's ready to slug it out if his bike can stand it.
In practice, the bike felt pretty good, you know. I didn't feel a problem. I came back and I was just kind of revving it up, just listening to it, and I heard a vibration, or actually felt a vibration, so I told Wyatt, and he did the same. He started it up, and I think one of the main bearings started going out, so they did a big switch in between practices, and I missed the second practice, 125, and so I got to 250. They put a new motor in it, and went out there, and everything felt good, so, you know, I think the bike's going to hold up 100%.
I have been a little bit nervous during the week, but I've been trying to put that off and just pictures any other race, trying to, but it's a little hard, so I'm going to just go out there, really get in practice, and once I get out there, I'm not nervous, so I'm going to just put my head down and do what I've been doing the last few weeks and hopefully come out on top.
You know, this is the last race, and, you know, there's no more trying to save points or just say, oh, I'm going out for the points. It's do or die today, and if you guys keep the camera on me, I'm sure you're going to see some pretty good stuff.
If it gets close, things could get physical. Then look out. Huffman's only 16 points back. Jan?
Thanks, Art. Well, David, you've talked a lot that Damon Huffman really needs to start getting starts here on the outdoors if he's going to do it. Today is the day he has to get the whole shot for the chance for the title.
Right. Well, also, you know, he probably doesn't want to factor into how the points are going to turn out for Lamson and Hughes. Just go out. It'd be the best thing when you're really not involved in the title and you'd like to hope to win it on a long shot yourself. Whole shot both motos and win wire to wire, and then hopefully things turn out in your favor behind you.
We're only moments away from the start of Moto number 1. It all comes down to this. Oh, Damon Huffman gets hung up in the gate. He was trying to get the whole shot. He went too soon. We're looking to see who does come away with it. It looks like a Yamaha goes to the front. That, of course, would be number 43, Kevin Windham.
Well, I don't see Ryan Hughes. There's Lamson. Yeah, Lamson and Hughes right together. This is going to be an interesting battle. It's only Kevin Windham's second race back, and he finds himself with the whole shot. He'd probably like to just run away with this and stay out of the middle of Hughes and Steve Lamson at this point.
Slotting into second place is number 708. That's Ryan Huffman from Roseburg, Oregon. No relation to Damon Huffman, but he's the rider that Steve Lamson, who's right behind him there, he got tangled with him in Washougal, and he was very upset, David.
Well, I can understand that. It could have cost him the title, but right now he's got Ryan Hughes behind him, and I think things look pretty good.
So Ryan Huffman in front, Ryan Hughes behind him. There you saw number 12, Damon Huffman, trying to work his way through, but his title championship hopes are probably expired by now. You're looking at number 43, our leader at the moment, Kevin Windham. We'll be right back after this.
The AMA 125cc Motocross Series on ESPN2 is being brought to you by Honda, winner and holders of the last 8 consecutive Supercross championships. Honda, come ride with us.
We're in Moto number 1 of the AMA 125 Championship Series as you're watching Steve Lamson trying to work his way past the privateer Honda of Ryan Huffman.
Well, I can tell you it's very frustrating for Steve Lamson to be in a title chase like he is right now and to have to deal with this privateer. I mean, why would this guy pick this race? He's finally got past him there. It's very frustrating, though, to have to deal with that. You see Ryan Hughes right there still in the picture, still staying close. Now that he's put this privateer between them, Ryan Hughes is going to have to make a move to get around this privateer, and that's going to possibly allow Steve Lamson to get a little breathing room.
You would think that with the last name like Huffman, maybe he's in there trying to help Damon Huffman, but there's no relation between the two. Ryan Huffman now is coming back. This is not good news for Steve Lamson. Ryan Huffman, he needs to know, I'm sure he does know, how important the championship is. And if he wants to get a factory ride, you don't mix it up with a guy who's going for the championship.
No, you sure don't. And also, you saw Ryan Huffman make a little mistake there. His feet came off the pegs as he went around the corner, so I would be inclined to think that he's riding a little bit over his head. And you see Ryan Hughes makes a pretty easy pass on him. Looks like he's got the inside into the corner. And now that Ryan Hughes and Steve Lamson left the battle all by themselves. That's what the crowd came to see, and that's how I'd like to see this title decided, between these two guys, and not have some other rider interfere with it.
Steve Lamson, Ryan Hughes, it comes down to this. They've both got great starts. They have an opportunity now on the racetrack to decide who is going to be the champion here in 1995. The crowd today, I'm sure, David, is not going to be disappointed. Ryan Hughes said, "Keep your cameras on me. I'm going for it." Well, we're doing it. We're following him.
Well, I can tell you, I've seen Ryan do some pretty heroic things, and Ryan possesses the ability, when he's going fast and he finds out it's not fast enough, he can ride a little bit over his head and pull it off. I don't know if Lamson can do that. Lanson's very fast, and he can respond a little bit, but I don't think he has that ability to ride a little over his head the way Ryan can, and that might mean the difference today.
Ryan Hughes, he's going to be pushing, but you wouldn't think he would take chances this early, however.
No, I don't think so. He's just trying to find his lines. They watered the track in a couple of spots. You know, since you heard him say that he wasn't able to get the kind of practice he needed because of that motor change, so his first few laps he's going to have to get things sorted out. He's still staying pretty close to Lamson, so I think things are going to let him settle in and then start to try to pick up the pace and hopefully put a pass on Lamson.
Mike Craig now moves his way past Ryan Huffman as well. Mike Craig, here later in the season, has been picking up the pace here. Started off with a lot of trouble, most of which was mechanical. Now he's starting to gain momentum here in the 125.
Well, he's starting to look a lot better. I mean, I've said several times that I didn't think he should be on a 125. I thought he'd shine a lot more on a 250, but he is starting to ride well and salvage something for the season.
We also got a quick look there at number 23, Tim Ferry, who's been out for a while. He's back. He returned at Binghamton. He's now back, and certainly he had great form in the beginning of the season, now trying to put some pressure on 708. Again, Ryan Huffman, who we've been a little bit hard on, but he's riding great for a privateer, and he did stay out of trouble with Lamson this time.
Right. Well, he is riding good. Looks like Ferry's got a little better timing there. He's putting some of that supercross technique to work. Makes an easy pass. And this track, it's one of the easier race tracks. And now looks like Ryan Hughes definitely closed the gap on Lamson. That's gonna put the pressure on. These guys are feeling a lot of pressure, but now it's increased.
That's what I was gonna say. As we got that shot, Ryan Hughes has definitely closed the gap on Steve Lamson. Man, he is absolutely got this thing cranked up.
Well, Ryan can do it, and you know, it's hard to say. You know, we talked about Ryan not wanting to ride too aggressive. We wonder what Lamson's going to do. Now he's got Ryan breathing down his neck. He's going to have to step up the pace.
Art Ekman is with Steve Lamson's mechanic.
Mike, do you like what you see on that stopwatch?
Yeah, I'm just keeping track of the time right now and just seeing how he's going to play this game out.
It looked like to me that he started a little nervous, a little bit tense, but now they've picked up the pace to really starting to hound number 43 Wyndham.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing. He's riding real tense at first, and it just takes a while to get loosened up, especially under these conditions.
These conditions are tough. I've been there before, and I got to tell you, I think Mike Goslar looked a little nervous.
Yeah, I'm sure the mechanics get as nervous. That's kind of a problem when you're down there in the mechanics area, is that you get all that nervousness, but you have no way to release it. The riders, at least, have the opportunity to get out there and try and get loose. Great battle at the moment. The championship is going to be decided today, and it most probably will be between those two. Wyndham at the moment, however, holds the lead on our Suzuki Field Summary. We'll be back with more of Moto number 1 after this. Welcome back to Delmont, Pennsylvania. Jan Beekes, David Bailey in the booth, Art Ekman in the pits. The championship battle continues here in Moto number 1 with Steve Lamson at the moment in second place, slotted ahead of his closest rival, Ryan Hughes, who at the moment is 3 points in arrears of our championship leader, Steve Lamson. But, David, they're closing on Wyndham.
They're definitely catching Wyndham. They're running much faster pace. They have a lot more motivation, I think, than Kevin Wyndham does today. And Ryan Hughes looks the fastest of the three. He's got a couple of sections where he's going a little bit faster. I don't know if he can make a pass, but he's definitely he doesn't look patient at all to me, Jan.
What about the fitness of Kevin Windham? Here's a guy who missed 7 races, only his 2nd race back. I mean, these two guys that are chasing him, not only are they chasing the title, but obviously they've ridden every round, well, nearly, except for Steve Lamson missing some. But check this out. Ryan Hughes goes to the outside. The battle has lit up here. Ryan Hughes, does he take it? Yes, Ryan Hughes moves into 2nd place. Now putting all the pressure on Steve Lamson. Let's take a look at this now in replay, David.
Well, watch Ryan Hughes. Of course, he's got the inside going to the corner. He already has him passed, but watch his front wheel. As soon as he lands here, it's a little slick. Watch the front wheel right there, up in the air. It barely catches that berm. He easily could have gone down right there, but it doesn't matter now. He's got Lamson behind him.
Ryan Hughes said he was going to be aggressive, said he was going to be fun to watch, and he is. He's going for it. Now, of course, what he really needs to do for championship purposes is to pass Windham and somehow try and keep Windham between he and Lamson.
Right, well, that's up to Windham, but whether he's going to stay between them. But if I'm Ryan Hughes, I want to pass Windham right now as fast as possible to get Lamson off my back, get rid of the pressure. We talked about being out there and riding without pressure and being able to try to ride relaxed, and it's almost impossible to do under these conditions. And when you're nervous like that, that causes arm pump. I'm a firm believer that arm pump is not just because you're not in shape or you don't ride enough, it's nerves, and right now these guys are very nervous, and the more that Ryan can take the pressure off himself, the better.
Well, let's talk a bit about Kevin Windham. No moto wins in the outdoors or overall wins, but he's had a good season, especially in Supercross.
In Supercross, he was never worse than a 4th, and he led almost every race, but he's just had a lot of health problems, as you can see, with the mono this year, also with that collarbone, and a great comeback here, but he's sitting in a pretty uncomfortable place because he's got 2 of the fastest riders on the circuit in the 125s breathing down his neck, and he probably doesn't want to factor into the points too much either.
Kevin Windham looked like he landed a little short. He did, and of course, capitalizing on that is Ryan Hughes. You can hear the crowd in the background. They're going crazy. They're not disappointed here today in Moto number 1. Ryan Hughes is on fire.
Well, I can tell you, Ryan's got to feel fantastic right now. He's riding good. He's going faster than Steve Lamson, that's got to help him relax and give him some confidence. Now he's got Kevin Windham in there between. And look at the lead he's already opened up. So this is, right now, things are looking excellent for Ryan Hughes.
Ryan Hughes usually picked up these positions by taking chances. But now, when you have the lead, you don't want to take as many chances, do you?
Right. Well, he's taking chances to put the pressure on somebody else. But now that the pressure is switched, I think he can relax a little bit more and start to ride his best. You always ride your best when you're more relaxed, and right now I think with Steve Lamson kind of still stuck back there behind Windham and maybe not riding up to his potential, Ryan can ride a lot more relaxed and maybe pull away even more.
Ryan Hughes desperately wants this championship. Of course, every rider wants the championship, and of course there's probably, more pressure you would say on Steve Lamson being the factory rider here?
I think it's equal. You know, I mean, yeah, in theory maybe, but there's a chance that Steve Lamson would ride the 125 class again next year, and I don't think Ryan wants to. I think this is his last year in the 125s, and if he can win it, that'd be fantastic for him to move up and say he's won the 125, he'll never go back there again, but he's bringing the title with him.
Ryan Hughes has certainly done his work today. If he can stay out front now, he has squarely put the pressure on this man, Steve Lamson, who currently runs, as you can see on our Suzuki Field Summary, in 3rd. The other 2 championship contenders today, Brown and Huffman, are in 8th and 9th, respectively. We'll be right back. Dilla, New York, where David, after our first turn pileup, mud was the order of the day.
And in 1987, the U.S. team consisted of Jeff Ward on a 500, Bob Hanna on a 125, and Rick Johnson during the peak of his career on a 250. There's a look at Bob Hanna reaching up to clear his vision on the 125. Riders going down everywhere. Look at Hanna, aggressive, probably one of the best mud riders in the history of motocross. There's Davey Strebos out with bike problems. Hanna working his way up this uphill. So tough to do on a 125 to get up these steep Unadilla hills in the mud. Watch Vandenberg right here of Denmark. It's out of control. Lets Hanna get around. When he passed him, he moved into 3rd spot, which helped the USA win another Motocross the Nations title.
Bob Hanna, of course, the hero of that particular Motocross the Nations. And maybe this year, Ryan Hughes in the front of this pack. He'll be at Motocross the Nations, as will Steve Lamson, David.
That's right, and the 3rd pick of that team will be Jeff Emick, who's contesting the 250 class here today. And probably not the first 3 choices, but with McGrath and other riders electing not to go, it'll be left on these guys' shoulders to try to win another title and steal it back after losing last year.
Ryan Hughes, of course, our leader now on a 125, will be riding a 500 in the Motocross the Nations. Arts with his mechanic.
Moving into the lead, though, could mean 3 points and could tie it up going to the second moto instead of just being a second and third place situation.
Yeah, definitely. You know, tying it up, you know, it can work either way. That could put more pressure on Ryan. But then again, winning the first moto can, you know, give you all the confidence in the world, and he knows he can do it. So just he always rides on the ragged edge. Hopefully that ragged edge this time will mean staying up and take the moto win.
Ryan Hughes hoping to hang on to that moto win as we hear from Wyatt Seals. But remember, when we talk about the championship being tied, that's assuming that Lamson will be able to work his way past Kevin Windham.
That's right. And right now, as it sits, it's 5 points. So Ryan Hughes would go into the second moto with a 2-point lead. But I think, you know, if I were Kevin Windham, I would, you know, with that hole shot, I would try to pull away and let that battle take place behind me, way behind me, hopefully. And if I couldn't make that work, then I would let these guys go around and not interfere with something that I really didn't have anything to do with. You know, after all, Windham really hasn't been involved in this series very much. He's only had a few races, and you know, I think it's just common sense to sort of stay out of the way of these guys that are fighting for the title.
Neither of those, however, are on Yamahas. So you think he really cares?
No, I don't think so.
Of course, the Kawasaki leads it. A Honda in third. And as we talked about at the moment, there would be a 2-point differential going into moto number 2. However, I think everyone in the pit side, certainly the mechanics, feel that Lamson will be able to put some heat and capitalize here and take that position from Windham.
Well, Lamson's shown all year that he's got the speed to go fast and win, you know, back-to-back motos. He put together 4 overalls at one point during the series. And I think he can go up and run with Ryan, but right now, perhaps he's the pressure. You know, I talked about before, the pressure makes your arms pump up, and when your arms are pumped up, you can barely even ride. You can't use the clutch, you can't use the throttle right, you ride a lot more tense, and now that he realizes that he's behind in the battle, you can see right there, trying to muscle his way around, he's still not able to do it, and that's going to make him even more nervous. All while this is going on, Ryan Hughes is still continuing to pull away slightly.
Steve Lamson right now feeling the pressure, according to David Bailey. So now is the time to twist that throttle, try and take that second position. He'll know from his mechanic that if he's able to take this spot, he'll be tied for the championship. He goes to the outside. He does it that quickly. We now have the 2 championship title contenders tied. This is what everyone's been hoping for, David.
Now the question is now that Lamson's got a little shot in the arm, got some aggression going. Maybe he's a little bit irritated with having to work his way around Kevin Windham like that. Maybe he's got the speed to go up and catch Ryan.
We'll find out shortly, of course. Like tennis, like a lot of sports, motocross a lot of times has to do with momentum. You build the momentum. That's why guys who get the great starts seem to always be able to extend that and have that kind of confidence. What's it going to take now for Lamson to kick in some extra momentum?
Well, perhaps the fear of losing his job. I mean, we're not really certain whether Lamson is signed with Honda. I know they've been talking, but Honda in the past has been known to cut a rider even after they've won a title.
Steve Lamson will be hoping for some extra job security. Looking at the Suzuki Field Summer, you see he has to put that pressure on Ryan Hughes. The other championship contenders, Huffman in 6th, Brown in 9th.
The Motocross Series on ESPN2 is being brought to you by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
Welcome back to Delmont, Pennsylvania. Jan Beekes, David Bailey in the booth, Art Ekman down in the mechanics area, and there's the white flag. 1 lap to go here. Ryan Hughes currently in the lead, but David, it takes a full 3 minutes and 30 seconds for these guys to make a lap here. There's plenty of racing left.
Oh, plenty of racing left. And also, it might be interesting to note that Steve Lamson won the first moto here last year, and Ryan Hughes was 4th. So Ryan Hughes definitely stepped up the pace this year, and it's just a question now whether he can hang on to it.
Now, of course, Delmont has not been very kind to Ryan Hughes. He ended up in a fist fight last year with Doug Henry, the eventual champion, and right there looks like the rear wheel slipped out a little bit.
Right, he just got a little crossed up in that rut and leaning a little bit too much to the inside. Look at Lamson down the inside, putting the pressure on. I can tell you that these guys are both nervous, and Ryan Hughes has got to feel the most pressure here at this moment, because if he loses this moto, he's going to drop 6 points behind. If he can hang on, it's going to be tied.
We could potentially be tied going into moto number 2. Of course, Steve Lamson knows it's all up to him now. Ryan Hughes just has to keep it on 2 wheels. It's now up to Steve Lamson to see how big of a chance he may take. Now, you said earlier in the broadcast, David, you thought that Ryan Hughes could come up with extra, but you weren't sure about Lamson.
Right. Well, Lamson's coming up with a little extra, but it doesn't appear here that he's riding over his head. That was the point that I was making. I think right here, Ryan Hughes can feel that pressure by Lamson and know he's got to just go faster and step up the pace, ride a little bit over his head and pull it off. He's done it before.
Remember, we are on the final lap here. He is going to hang it out. He being, of course, Steve Lamson. If he's going to go for it, now has to be the time. We'll watch the timing through here. Similar timing. However, look, a double there, different timing. Lamson closes the gap somewhat. Now on the downhill, Lamson's going for it, goes to the outside, but then loses some momentum, David.
Well, he tried to come into that corner hot, and that's a really steep off camber, and you need all the momentum you can get going back up the hill, and he just messed up the berm a little bit. On the 125, it's tough to get that speed back.
The fans are being treated to a great show here. It looks as though Ryan Hughes right there really stepped it up, got some great traction. He's making sure he's got a little bit of breathing room. They're getting closer, ever closer to that finish line.
Well, I can tell you that Ryan is wanting to put as much distance between himself and Lamson as he can, because when we get down to those final last couple of corners, Lamson, if he's close enough, he might be able to go in there and stuff Ryan, and I don't think Ryan wants any part of that. He's going to try to make sure he's got enough room on him so that doesn't happen.
Ryan has been stuffed before, in his own words here, by Honda riders. And like you said, he wants to make sure he has enough breathing room. The tension, the pressure is building. They are wheel and wheel, neck and neck. It all comes down to this. Can Lamson get enough momentum? Can he get enough speed to make the move? At least from this camera angle, he's definitely close enough with only a few corners to go. Lamson is giving it everything he has.
You can see Ryan, as they came over that jump going into the corner there, he just kind of crossed the bike up and aimed for the inside. If he leaves any room entering any corner, I think Lamson's going to go in there and shut the door. So you can see Ryan's riding pretty smart. And Lamson right there almost goes off the racetrack. Does a good job of staying inside the banners, but he lost a lot of time.
It looks like it was exactly what Ryan Hughes needed. They're only 1 corner away from the finish line. Ryan Hughes takes it. Steve Lamson gave it everything he had, but came up short. We now have a tie for the championship going into Moto 2. Moto 1 results: Hughes, Lamson, Wyndham, Pichon, and Craig. Damon Huffman stayed in 6th place. Pretty much eliminated from the championship. Mike Brown slipped to 9th. Art Ekman is now with Ryan Hughes.
So Ryan, the changes to the bike obviously worked out there because you withstood the pressure. What an ultimate championship type run.
Yeah, this race is all or nothing. You know, I said if I ain't gonna win, I'm gonna crash. So I rode as hard as I could. Those guys rode good, but had some good lines out there and just tried keeping the pace going, and worked out really good.
Even up in points going down to the last race.
Definitely.
Congratulations on a great one.
Thanks.
You've got to admire that determination by Ryan Hughes. I'm going to win or I'm going to crash. It's all or nothing, and he pulled it off. Now it's tied up.
Steve Lamson, is he I'm going to win or I'm going to crash? Art Ekman is with him.
Lammy, the essence of a championship going right down to the wire, and you were able to put lots of pressure on him, but he had some problems in the single lane passing areas down at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, I just, first the moto I kind of was riding a little bit tight, and I had to get my lines down, and my arms pumped up a little bit, then I relaxed and got flowing after that. So, yeah, I don't plan on going through that problem next moto. I'm going to be right from the gate going, so.
Any basic changes?
No, not really. Just going to go out and freshen up and come back to win.
Steve Lamson, confident about moto number 2, but probably not as confident as this man, Ryan Hughes. Don't go away. The stage is set for probably the most exciting moto of 1995. It's like downhill skiing. We have our championship contenders tied. These two men, Lamson, Ryan Hughes, it all comes down to this. We're moments away from the gate dropping to decide the 125 championship here in AMA competition. And right now, the pressure is building. The gate will drop. We'll find out how those two, who are gated right next to each other, make it into the first turn. It looks like Lamson got the better of Ryan Hughes, with Mike Brown
slotting there into second place. A Suzuki looked like Damon Huffman there, slotting into third. So, a crash in the first turn. One of those is Wyndham, who of course finished third in Moto number 1. But at the moment, Steve Lamson has the hole shot, things going exactly as he has hoped, David. Well, the other good news for Lamson is the fact that Ryan in that second corner got pushed wide. Looked like he may have been able to come out in third. He's further back, 5th or 6th right now, and he's got a Honda of Troy back there, and that's going to help him relax. Steve Lamson, he got the hole shot. He said he had arm pump. You see Ryan Hughes there in 4th place, not very far away, still has a great opportunity to close in, but he said, I had arm pump in Moto number 1. I think I've shaken it. If he has, that's going to make it very tough for Ryan Hughes. Well, it did look as though that Steve Lamson was riding faster than Ryan Hughes at the end of Moto number 1. And if he can continue that, it's going to be a tough moto for Ryan Hughes, and you can see he's already, he's almost 75, 100 yards behind the leader, and they're both on Honda, so I don't know if that makes it any worse for Ryan Hughes, but I'm sure it doesn't help. Of course, we're talking about Mike Brown, number 26, and Michael Craig, number 19, both on Honda of Troy, Honda support riders. How much do you think they would try and help Lamson? Well, I don't think it's on their agenda to do just that, but they're not going to make it any easier. I'm sure that if they want to ride from Honda, if they can make it any easier for Steve Lamson to win this title, Honda wouldn't be mad at him, and if they need parts in the future, it probably wouldn't be too tough to get. Remember that time I helped Lamson win a title? Well, can I get that pipe? You never know what kind of things go on, but that could be in the back of their mind. Steve Lamson right now doesn't care who has to help him. He knows the only way that he can win this championship is to beat Ryan Hughes on the racetrack. So now the pressure squarely on the shoulders, and Ryan Hughes looks like he made contact there. That was Jason McCormick there on a Honda. We thought at first that it was number 19 Michael Craig, but boy, that was a tight moment for Ryan Hughes. Well, he just squeezed through there. It looked like he was already had squared it. And what happened, which I think was actually a blessing for Ryan Hughes, you can see they've watered the track. So now the riders are riding at the very edges where it's dusty. So Ryan was just trying not to follow, and it's a good thing. Otherwise, he could have been caught up in that wreck. You can see how muddy Ryan Hughes is right now. Look at all the mud. He can't even see. He may use most, if not all, of his vision before this moto's over with. When they water the track, and you said they now try and find the dusty parts of the circuit, does that now try and squeeze it down to one line? Does it make passing harder? Yeah, it definitely will, and it'll make it even tougher when you're behind a rider and he's squirting you in the face with mud. You only have so much vision, and you've got to try to take different lines, and there's only one fast line, so that's going to make, right now, the way things sit, Lamson is looking real good. But look at the crowd get into it. The crowd is waving. They're really trying to motivate Ryan Hughes. They want to see a championship battle. They want to see, wow, he's closed that gap quickly on Mike Brown. Yeah, he sure has. And it's like he said, it's all or nothing. This is winner take all. Final moto of the year. This is what you like to see. Come down to this. Look at this. Look at the aggression of Ryan Hughes right to the inside of Mike Brown. He said he's going to win or crash. He could have taken them both out right there. It was an aggressive move, and Brown was smart to just let him have that room. Wow, that was a case of holding the throttle wide open, just getting in there, getting aggressive. Ryan Hughes is definitely a great show to watch when he gets on fire, starting to go to the front. But Mike Brown, of course, still potentially, I guess, alive in the championship if maybe the top two guys fell over. But right now, just trying to stay in contest with Ryan Hughes. Our Honda field summary shows, in fact, of course, Lamson, Hughes, and Brown. Pichon, Scott Sheik, nice start for the Privateer. Stevenson, Huffman, Deegan, Pingree, and Buddy Antonez. We'll be right back after this.
Unbelievable. Spectacular. Breathtaking.
Pennsylvania, Jan Beekes, David Bailey, Art Ekman. A championship battle unfolding. Ryan Hughes right there has made his way past. Mike Brown has his sights set on the leader, but David, it's going to be a tough job. He's got mud all over him already. His vision is somewhat obscured, and the track conditions have really changed. Well, yeah, it really frustrates me to see. I remember when I was racing, I would really be upset with it, but you can see that they've watered the track so much, and, you know, I understand they got to try to keep the dust down, but this is a championship battle. Winner take all or nothing, the final moto of the year, and they go and water it what looks like too much. And that'd be like in tennis, you know, between sets, they go out and move the lines around a little bit and mess with the surface of the court, you know, during a championship match, and it's really something that the riders were irritated with, and it's going to make Ryan Hughes' job today a little bit tougher. These guys are versatile, though, and they can deal with a lot of things. There's no question about that. Motocross, certainly one of the toughest sports in the business, both physically and, of course, mentally. Like you said, David, changing the surface effectively in between races. But right now, Ryan Hughes has to absolutely uncork it, go for it, try and close that gap on Lamson. He's done it before. And, of course, we know that he a lot of times likes coming from behind, but I'm sure it's going to make his life tough today. Now, Art Ekman, of course, is in the mechanics area, and he's with Wyatt Seals, Ryan Hughes mechanic.
Wyatt, with his all-out style, would you rather have him in second place but closer right now?
Yeah, a little closer would be nice, but I don't know. He's on the edge again, and, you know, that's Rhino. I don't know. Not much to say right now. We just got to sit back and watch.
We're going to sit back and watch as well to see if Ryan Hughes can do one of his patented come-from-behind, no-holes-barred style of riding. Let's watch him for a moment, David, and observe his riding for us.
Well, he's going pretty fast, and little bobbles here and there, which would lead you to believe if you just tuned in that he's riding a little bit out of control, but that's the way Ryan always looks. You know, in the track right now, it really facilitates riding a little bit out of control and getting sideways, and you see him doing right there, but he caught Lamson in the first moto, passed him, then he passed Wyndham and put the pressure on Steve Lamson, and it appears right now he's about 5 seconds behind. That's not much. They got a lot of time left in this moto, and Ryan's got the speed to go up and catch him. Little mistake there, but he doesn't lose any time. That's the thing about Ryan. He makes mistakes, but he keeps going fast.
The fans are getting into it. You saw them there in the background. They desperately want to see these two guys decide the championship handlebar to handlebar. If it were to finish now, of course, Steve Lamson would be the champion. Whoever wins this moto will go home the champion in 1995. The fans absolutely enjoying this racing this afternoon. Lamson, you can't say enough about this guy. He came from over 60 points behind and now has an opportunity, potentially, to go home the champion.
Well, I don't know if when he first race or first 2 or 3 races back he thought he would ever be sitting in this position, but now that he is, he's trying to take advantage of it. He got the whole shot when he needed it, and things are looking good for him right now, although he cannot rest because Ryan Hughes is the kind of guy that can make up 3 or 4 seconds in a lap. And whoever wins this title today is going to walk away with about $150,000 to $200,000, the #1 plate, and they're going to be always regarded as a 125 national champion of 1995. So it's a huge, there's so much at stake here today, and these guys both have got to be riding nervous.
A huge difference between going home the champion and coming in second place in the championship. There's no comparison. You remember the champion, not who came in second.
Right, and there's no bonus for second place either.
Now, of course, we know how nervous Steve Lamson was in Moto #1, but we knew also how nervous Mike Gosselar was. Art Ekman is with him again here in Moto 2.
Mike, what did you say to him between motos? He hasn't made a mistake. He's had a tremendous pace.
Well, I kind of told him where he was losing time last moto. Then Jeremy came in and told him the same thing, and he kind of drew it out for him what lines he needed to take, and they look like they're working for him.
Where was he losing the time that he's picking up now?
Yeah, mainly that uphill jump section there, and Jeremy gave him some good tips on how to get through there, and they seem to be working real good.
That's got to be a huge boost for Steve Lamson. This is the section that they're talking about right here, where he's able to make up a lot of time. You see he sits down on the seat right there to get more compression to the suspension to help him get over that jump, which just, by the top of that hill, he's going so much faster. What has Ryan Hughes got going for him? I mean, not really much of anything. Lamson has got the strength of Team Honda. He's got Jeremy McGrath. Also Jeff Stanton, his first appearance since a near-fatal accident. He decided to support Steve Lamson. Lamson was there when he was laying on the ground in severe pain. He's here for Steve Lamson today, and that's got to give him a big boost.
A lot of people behind this factory Honda effort, of course. Today, also, the 250 championship will be decided with Jeremy McGrath, the favorite there. Our Honda field summary shows Lamson on top, and in the second set, you see Huffman in 6th. A nice run for Wyndham, recovering now in 9th. We'll be right back after this. Watching the championship battle unfolding here in Moto #2. Steve Lamson there, #5. He leads it, but at the moment it looks like he's shaking off that arm pump, and he might be pulling away from Ryan Hughes. Back in 6th place, Damon Huffman looks like his championship hopes are over.
Well, he's definitely a fast 125 rider, and he's very talented, promising future, but he's had a frustrating season outdoors, and that frustration just continuing today. In the first moto, gets stuck in the starting gate, having to come all the way from dead last. And right here in 6th place in the second moto, not really where the battle is, and frustrating season.
However, if things were to finish as they are now, he would come home third in the championship. Last year, he was 7th in the 125 outdoors, so big improvement for him.
Sure, big improvement, and if Ryan Hughes or Steve Lamson moves up to the 250s next year, that opens the door for him a little bit, and I would think that he would be a championship contender next season. You can see right there, almost 4.5 seconds between Ryan Hughes and our leader, Steve Lamson, and I think Hughes, it's not over yet. This guy he's going to keep trying, and I guess the thing that's happened is Steve Lamson has picked this moto to ride fantastic, and he's really put the pressure on Ryan Hughes to ride above and beyond his best riding ability. Probably it's going to force him to ride over his head like we've talked about before, and he's going to have to do that to catch Lamson.
We have seen this battle seesaw back and forth. We saw it at 5 seconds the last time we checked the interval. Now it's 4.4. It has opened. It has closed. Really, it puts all the pressure, like you said, David, on this man, Ryan Hughes. He has to just unload because at the moment, Lamson, especially in that section, and you can really see the difference now, can't you, with the tip that Jeremy has given Lamson.
Right, well, Ryan Hughes trying to do the same thing that Lamson's doing up that hill, but you know what, I got to think that Lamson's bike is a little bit faster than Ryan Hughes's, and that makes a huge difference in an uphill section and jumps, which requires mostly just horsepower, so it's a big advantage for Steve Lamson.
Now, of course, speaking of horsepower, there's going to be a big jump in horsepower next year for Ryan Hughes. He has signed a contract with Kawasaki. He'll be on the 250, and he's actually more comfortable on the 250, isn't he, David?
Well, I think so. He seems to, I think, making up for a little bit of lack of horsepower in the 125. I mean, the bike is very fast. He gets good starts, but it's just not quite fast enough, and that teeny little bit of difference makes a lot of difference in the 125 class. So he rides a little smoother on the 250s. He's got the horsepower, and now in the Trophy of the Nations, he's riding a 500, and I think he's going to ride even better.
And you saw there briefly Jeff Stanton. You can see he had his wrist taped there. We mentioned him earlier. He's had all kinds of surgeries, something like 13 pins in that particular hand. He was hit by an automobile that came off the highway. He was just at a stop on a motorcycle, and thankfully he's here today and cheering on his rider, Steve Lamson. Now, of course, Ryan Hughes, Wyatt Seals and his camp will be cheering him on, and they're hoping he can close this gap on Lamson.
Well, this is one of those motos where you can see how important the start is. If Ryan Hughes had gotten the whole shot and Lamson was 3rd or 4th, this whole thing could be going the other way. So the start, as always, proves to be probably the deciding factor of a moto, and in this case, maybe the title.
A pretty good run today for number 101, Mikel Pichon. Currently runs in 4th place. He's, had a good run, but really today, in the light of the championship, I'm sure a lot of people are not really focusing on him, but he hasn't really got his momentum on the outdoors like you thought he might.
Right, and it's difficult in a day like today when you got 2 riders, the fastest riders of the season, really, that are battling for the championship. And if you were to get up there and mix it up with him, you just sort of feel out of place. So it's tough for these riders. And it looks like Pichon will be going back to Europe next year to contest the World Championships. And a fine ride over here in the 125 Supercross. Not the same kind of success in the outdoors, but still a very promising rider, young.
It'll be a shame to lose him on the Supercross. He was exciting to watch, but he's returning, as you said, to Europe. Damon Huffman currently runs in 5th place, so he has picked up a spot. Not enough, certainly, to help him in the championship, but he's hoping to hang on to 3rd like we spoke. That's a big improvement from his 7th place finish in the championship, that is, last year.
Well, it's about all he can really do. Just go out and try to ride his best. I mean, this day, really, for a few guys, Mike Brown, and now, as it appears after the first moto, for Damon Huffman, just get through the moto. It's more or less just a workout. It's really not going to accomplish much. Just keep it on 2 wheels, lock down 3rd in the championship, and go home, wait till next year.
Damon Huffman, of course, we saw him in moto number 1 get caught by the gate. That's really where he struggled this year, is on the starts. If he can cure that, he certainly could go to the front here next year. A guy who certainly never struggled on the gate is Steve Lamson. He's got great starts all year.
Well, and it's really paying off for him today, as we just pointed out. The start perhaps is the deciding factor of the championship today, and I bet you he's glad he got it today at the second moto.
The Honda Field summary shows him on top. Hughes, Brown, Pichon, and Huffman round out the top 5. But don't forget, there's only about 4 seconds that decide the championship. We'll be right back. At the moment, Steve Lamson still has things going his way. You saw briefly there Jeff Stanton cheering him on, but now he does have to work through some lap riders. That can be scary, David.
Well, now you can see it's the white flag, and as it's 1 lap to go, those lapped riders can be a real problem for Steve Lamson, because anytime you're the leader of the race, a lot of times they're not aware that the leaders are catching him, and by the time second place comes through, they're already getting out of the way. That could play into the favor of Ryan Hughes, and there's only about 4 seconds separating these two.
In Moto number 1, we saw a great battle at the end on the final lap. Remember, it takes over 3 minutes to get a 125 around this course. There's plenty of racing left, but that time it was Lamson chasing Ryan Hughes, but now it's the other way around. Can 4 seconds be cut by Ryan Hughes? If anybody can do it, it'll be Ryan Hughes, and boy, he'll be exciting to watch on this last lap.
I'm sure he will, and as I watch Steve Lamson right here, I bet you he's just waiting to explode with excitement, but he can't do it yet, because you can see right there, 4 seconds separates him from Ryan Hughes, and as long as Hughes is that close, if there's any mistake by Lamson, he's going to lose the title. So it's all on the line here with about a half a lap to go.
Not only is it 4 seconds, but it's less than it was. It's 4.1. We saw it at 4.4. It doesn't sound like much, but psychologically, he is catching. The flaggers are getting out there. Oh, look who that was, 7:08, Ryan Huffman. He's tangled with him before. He'll have to be sure he clears him. He doesn't want to get in the middle of this championship battle, and we'll watch him carefully as he works his way through. We saw Ryan Huffman, I believe, look over his shoulder. He knows that Lamson is there. Lamson's being somewhat cautious, and he's done it. So he's worked his way past a couple guys. Now, unfortunately, Hughes will have to do the same thing.
That's right, and Hughes looks like he's a little bit too far back to put any kind of pressure on Steve Lamson. At this point, with less than a half a lap to go, I think Lamson is finally starting to feel like this title may be his. All he's got to do is keep it on 2 wheels, and I think he's going to win this title.
Now, of course, this will be crushing for Ryan Hughes. He's had a great year this year, but he wanted so badly to win the championship and dedicate it to his father, who helped him in his early part of his career, passed away last year, never had an opportunity to see Ryan Hughes win. And now, of course, since that time, he's put it all together, wanted to dedicate this season to his father. But there'll be other opportunities.
I'm sure there will, and as you saw Lamson come out of that left-hander back there, he glanced over at the racetrack coming into the corner to the other side, and you can see that he's still got a pretty comfortable lead over Hughes. It's going to help him relax. I can already start to see it. It looks like he's riding more relaxed, and he's still going fast, but it's all coming easier, and I think you can start to smell that checkered flag.
Steve Lamson getting ever closer to the title in 1995 on these 125 machines. Remember, he was 61 points behind after the 3rd round this year. No one thought he had any opportunity, but hang on, here comes Ryan Hughes. We can see him in the picture. It looks like he's taking advantage of Lamson, taking it a little easy. However, we see Lamson look over his shoulder. He knows Hughes is coming.
He knows he's coming, but it's the nerves. The nerves of knowing that somebody has caught you that quick. And if you make any bobble at all, he's going to be right on you, possibly close enough to stuff you in the final corner.
Listen to the fans. The Honda mechanics are out trying to encourage Steve Lamson. There's only yards to go. There it is, the checkered flag. Our champion for 1995, Steve Lamson, has done it. And Ryan Hughes makes his way. He's got a problem. Ryan Hughes has got a problem with the bike. He's trying to push it to the line. We're looking back to see. That's a lapper. So is that. He's going to try and get it to the line to try and save his 2nd place. Oh, crushing for Ryan Hughes. It's uphill to the finish line. We're looking to see.
There's no chain on that motorcycle. He has broken a chain. Look at how steep that uphill is. I don't think this is going to matter for the overall title. He might lose some spots in this moto. He's got to push this motorcycle all the way up this hill, and if there's one guy out there that can do it, it's Ryan Hughes. He's tough.
We're looking to see if anyone, I believe Mike Brown has not crossed the finish line yet. We're watching them go by. So far, no one for position. They can't help him. His mechanics are there. Oh, there goes Mike Brown. Oh, he's lost 1 spot.
I've never seen anything like this, especially on the final lap of a moto. He's got to push this bike. He must be completely exhausted. The emotions of having just lost the title, and then for his chain to come off just to make things even tougher. What a disappointing day for Ryan Hughes. You can see him right there. Wyatt Seals catching up with him to take his goggles off. Very disappointed.
Moto 2 shows that Ryan Hughes did hang on to 3rd place. Mikel Pichon slotted it in 4th, and in 5th, of course, was Damon Huffman. But the day belongs to Steve Lamson. He receives the #1 plate from AMA's Duke Finch. Unbelievable run for him. 61 points down early in the season, and that total of 467 surpasses Doug Henry's 1994 championship run. Of course, a tough, tough day for Ryan Hughes. But look at this. He never gives up, pushed it up, finished third today, second in the championship. A great run for him. He was third last year. He also surpassed his points total from last year. For Jan Beekes, David Bailey, and Art Ekman, we congratulate Steve Lamson and Team Honda. We'll see you next time.